The Prime Minister received an honorary doctorate from Howard University just over a week ago. Now, not everybody is happy about it. In fact, one particular group have issued a letter to Howard University's Board of Trustees and gave them 3 days to respond. Whether or not there has been a response, well, we'll find out now as I welcome the Corporate Secretary of Fishermen and Friends of the Sea, Mr. Gary Aboud. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I don't know. I never said I wasn't happy about the Prime Minister getting his award.
See, that's where
a lot of people.
That's where I'm smart, sir. I didn't quote you as saying that you're not happy. I just said some people aren't entirely happy, sir.
Well, some people are very unhappy because
Yes.
they are surprised as to how these awards are given. For instance, few people know that the president of Howard University is associated with the Prime Minister. And they met recently at a funeral in Tobago, I think it was in 2020. And then miraculously, the president of Howard University, Dr. Frederick, he got our nation's highest award. Now, when it comes to awards, it's a ticklish thing for me because I think it's a great way of recognizing public service and encouraging citizens to do something good without an expectation of return. And what it is really, it's just a thank you. It's just thank you for your contribution. A lot of people, like for instance, the PNM, the Women's League, they're calling for a boycott of my small company. Now I employ 200 people, and if the PNM constituency boycotts my company, I'm in serious trouble. So, but I never said anything racial or discriminatory about it. Question when Kamala got the silk. I question a lot of things about how it's awarded. I'm concerned about the awkwardness of the president awarding her son and her husband silk 3 months after she's appointed. These are unusual circumstances, and I think it's only fair that the people who have contributed to our society, as simple and humble as they are, should also be recognized. We have had citizens who have risked their lives in floodwaters last year or year before, swimming with alligators to rescue people who were marooned in water. But we never recognized them. We've had, Pat Bishop got the Order of the Republic. Took Trinidad and Tobago forward decades in terms of musical understanding and the interpretation and orchestration of music. She was a beyond international standard teacher and musician. So she got the Order of the Republic. I totally support that. But what does Kusals do? Kusals, he's a road builder. He paid for his work. What has he done to merit that he should be recognized with a national award? Now, quite frankly, when my father was alive, and my father was a very simple man, came from a very poor and very humble background. And I say it proudly, he was an honest man that never robbed anybody or paid any bribe. And he made it. And at the end of his life, he was still a man from very humble origin who had educated his children. So when Gary Aboud was awarded an honorary doctorate and called by the well-known Professor Diosaran of UE that Gary Aboud would be honored, I was so proud to tell my dad that his son, my father slept on pavements on the road with his father when he was pedaling on the road. So for him to have a son, or for my grandfather, a person came from war, that was an immigrant, came here very poor, like all of our grandparents. But then, we were invited to speak at a conference, and at that time we spoke about idiosyncrasies of the government of the day. It was the Pandey government at the time. And we spoke about the idiosyncrasies of them saying one thing and doing another. And that evening, Minister Nanan, who was the minister who heard me what I said, he must not have been happy. They withdrew the honorary doctorate. Likewise, the Greenleaf Award was appointed. There's so many instances where
Well, Mr. Aboud, let me ask you, are we making a bigger issue of this than should be? Are we taking this further than actually should be the case? Aren't there more important things to focus on?
Well, if you have risked your life and done something to help others, you should be recognized. If, however, you have destroyed the Procurement Act, you have abused and insulted the media and locked them out, and done a whole string of other things that are awkward and unacceptable. If you spent $87 million to renovate President's house 5 years ago, but not do any construction whatsoever, and then celebrate 87 million, if you have awarded contracts to friends, or you have secretly gone and bought warships without any procurement, even though you have 10 warships that are a waste of money, that can't work, that are improperly constructed, and you secretly buy them without any procurement, any public announcement, any consultation, and you raise concerns in a national audience that you are a dictator that is corrupt, that does not want to be regulated. I mean, I am not a supporter of politicians. I'm a supporter of good conduct. So when I say, like, I belong to a group with a lot of UNC people on the group, they're accusing me of being a secret supporter of Rowley because I congratulated him when he won the election. FFOS is a public interest body that has 50% UNC supporters and 50% PNM. And we don't play politics. We've never. My president, Aaron Spence, has founded our group, co-founded it, with the principle of apolitical conduct. So certainly I congratulate and applaud the fact that the UNC under Kamala brought the Procurement Act and passed it in Parliament when the PNM walked out. And certainly she is merit to her that she appointed a civil society member to prepare the legislation, Afro Raymond. And he consulted with a wide audience, including FFOS. This is the way a democracy works. That we should get a prime minister, this Dr. Rowley, that promises to empower and pass the regulations for the Procurement Act, doesn't in 5 years. And then on the eve of the election, promises the national audience that he will do it if he gets back into office. And within a year of getting back into office, you remove all the teeth from the Procurement Act so that nobody can be regulated in government. And you pass it, you're spending hundreds of millions of dollars every day in a country that has 30% below the poverty line. In the Deep South, we have something like 70% of our people below the poverty index. And now you decorate yourself and your friends with international and nationally recognized awards, the highest award for Trinidad and Tobago.
Has Howard University given any clarification or justification as it relates to the process for awarding honorary doctorates? I know a letter was written. Have you received any responses yet?
Oh, people like that never respond to people like us. They live in a secret world. I don't expect them to respond, but I'm sorry to say that I'm obligated to say things that I have not yet said about if they don't respond, because I am a big supporter of humanitarian conduct, merit, of good behavior, of reward, and I am an enemy of injustice, of poverty, of exploitation. And there's a whole kaleidoscope, there's a whole rainbow of those things that are occurring here. And unless we, as a people, can promote goodness, I am not racist. The people are accusing me on both fronts, on the UNC side and on the PNM side, being racist, depending on the posture and the position we take on public decisions and public issues. The last thing I am, and I will pay for my sins, but the last thing I am is racist. That is not what motivates FOS. FOS are a public interest body. So we are talking about a government that has smothered health reports of mercury contamination in fish. Mercury is a heavy metal. Once you eat fish that has mercury in it, the human body has no way of getting it out. So you get sick. More than likely, you'll get one of the 7 critical degenerative diseases that die. And this, all their honor and their awards, have given the director of fisheries specific instruction to bury that report. And it was. But it was leaked to us. It was leaked by a member inside the fisheries department who was offended by the fact that this is critical information. So when you have a government doing things like that, it more resembles cannibalism of Idi Amin, where you're allowing citizens to be devoured by the oil and gas sector who are discharging the mercury in their drilling liquids. And listen, there's so much wrong that we must search and find right and promote right.
But Mr. Aboud, if I may ask, this doesn't sound something that the FFOS would be focusing on. This sounds as though it's something more personal for you and you're using the umbrella of the FFOS.
Yes, certainly it would sound like that. It would sound like that to you don't know the FFOS. It would sound like that. But to me, who live inside the FFOS, every issue of national importance, every issue of integrity, every issue of what is right and what is wrong, you must remember that the tail does not lead the head. You see, there is consensus about the issues that West faces, and there are several fishermen who are aggrieved and offended by publicizing facts of what we have discovered about the safety of our country, the fact that we have no Coast Guard, the fact that anything can come on sea at any time into our country. There are many fishermen who are involved in the movement of, there are many people who don't want the truth to be told. So do I lead an organization by letting the tail lead the head? As risky as it is, the truth must be told. It must be. And many people are offended by it. I would say it openly to everyone that the bluefish, the ones that live on the surface, are migratory. They are not affected by the heavy matter that gets into the food chain by sinking to the bottom. So that when we make the comment about the safety of consuming fish in the Gulf of Paria, we are speaking about the bottom-dwelling fish. And that is a fact. The university professor who we commissioned and paid good hard-earned money, the university professor that published a report on the correlation between eating bottom-dwelling fish in the Gulf of Paria and getting cancer, was sent on early retirement. Within 2 months of publication of the report, a $27 million laboratory was dismantled. The funding for that laboratory was taxpayers' money. The Green Fund paid for the UTT environmental laboratory to monitor environmental issues. But you award the Prime Minister an honorary doctorate. Well, I congratulate Dr. Rowley. I congratulate him, absolutely from the bottom of my heart. But I'm simply asking, what is the system that you have used to determine this marriage? Likewise?
And from your eyes, from your standpoint, What would you say are Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley's achievements from the position of Gary Aboud? What are the Prime Minister's achievements?
Well, he made promises to the nation that he would not close back, and then lied and closed it. And there's a string of issues like he has insulted people, many people over many years, and I'm not going to give you in the worst way by calling them names like jackass, and that is deplorable as a statesman and a leader. I am not a statesman and a leader, and I don't call anybody a name of a mute. That's not right. That is not humane. He has destroyed the Procurement Act. That is unforgivable, knowing the amount of corruption that our country is plagued with. But the greatest thing that he has done, and something that we take as a feather in our cap, and something that many of the fishermen could not understand and did not support us when we made a strong and clear decision to become involved in commentary and lobbying on the minuscule, secret, offensive and insulting royalties that the oil and gas sector were paying our country, and that has been a 25-year battle for us. He amended it so that companies that were paying 1 and 2 and less than 3% in royalties to our country today has standardized and paid 12.5%. It's still half of the world average of what is paid in royalties by the oil and gas sector when they suck our non-renewable wealth, our God-given wealth out of our earth. But it's still as much as 10 times as what we were getting under all the previous governments. So that is a great thing.
Mr. Aboud, I don't have, in fact, I'm more or less out of time, but I have to ask you in about a minute or less, if you can answer. How does one separate the role of politician from activist?
In the world of public life, from the moment you make a comment in the public interest or represent a single soul, human or non-human, because I believe that in the animal and insect kingdom, we are all brothers and sisters and we are all equal in the eyes of God. So we have to respect every form of life. And you will find that in every religion. From the time you speak about something that is not of your private and personal benefit, you enter into the world of politics. But I've been asked by several of the new political parties to join them. I've been asked, but I'm not interested in public office, my friend. I'm not doing what I do for public office. I'm not doing, and it's been 25 years, and we've made a very small contribution. And personally speaking, I don't feel I have earned any award or any accreditation. So I'm relieved not to have been awarded. I don't feel proud of my life that I have contributed nearly enough of what I have set out to do in terms of helping our country and helping our people who are suffering.
Well, sir, that's where we'll have to end it. Unfortunately, we're more or less out of time. But thank you very much for sharing your journey to work with us this morning and for the time to give us your thoughts and opinions on this matter.
Well, it's been a year since I've spoken to you.
It's been over a year.
I want to thank you for your public service of bringing truth to the surface and your courage in having so many people interviewed, and wish you and your station and your audience every blessing today and always, every good thing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. All the best, and same to you.